Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr. Motorama coffee spot.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 101 of Fueled by Deathcast. I wanted to say it like that because it's like we're in a podcast 101. We're like a freshman level podcast group now.
Missing the joke, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It was a college humor joke.
Wow, coming right out of the gate
Coming
strong.
right out of the gate. We did 100 episodes, and now it's all the way downhill, and I'm glad you guys are along for the
Not
ride.
even a hill. It's more like a cliff.
Well, at least I know you threw me off first. As always, guys, I am the incredible Jeff.
And I am the amazing D-Man.
And if you guys want to follow us on social media, it is super easy to do. Our social media of choice is Instagram, but we Facebook and Twitter a little as well. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee.
And I am at Death Wish Dustin, and this would not be a Fueled by Deathcast if we didn't mention at Real Christian Slater.
What are you guys doing? Have you followed Christian Slater yet? Have you told other people to follow Christian Slater? I've been noticing his numbers are kind of not really spiking anymore. Come on, guys.
Let's show them the power of the Church of Christian Slater here.
We're just going to keep yelling this on the mountaintops until Christian Slater has 1 billion followers.
For no good reason.
For no good reasons other than we just love Christian Slater, and we hope you guys do too. You know who else we love? Is our good friend Brock Powell.
I actually like Brock Powell.
Way more.
Way more than Christian Slater.
Way more than Christian Slater.
But to be fair, I don't personally know Christian Slater. He might actually be like a really good guy.
We have to ask Brock if he can do a Christian Slater. I bet you he can. Brock, I'm coming for you. And you guys should come for Brock, too. It's really easy. BrockVox.com. BrockVox across all social media. He's the voice actor on this show and 1,000 voices out there in the world. Love him to death. And if you guys are listening to this show, the day it comes out on Thursday, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Are you smashing your face with turkey, Jeff?
Oh, my gosh, I totally am. In fact, I enjoy turkey. I was having this discussion actually just recently with a couple people. I enjoy turkey on Thanksgiving, but we all know Thanksgiving's not about the turkey. It's about the sides, right? That's what's the most fun. I can't wait for the mashed potatoes and the stuffing and the cranberry sauce and the green beans and the...
Man, that jives against me, man.
Yo, you're just turkey, straight turkey, all the turkey.
I love the big, giant turkey legs with the thick tendons in them. You're like, what is going on?
You are a Viking.
You really get to know that turkeys are hardy creatures.
Yeah, they sure
You're
are.
like, wow, this thing is made of rubber and lead and delicious, delicious meat.
They sure are. I also will tell you, I'll also tell you that my favorite thing about Thanksgiving is both my wife and I, we wake up every Thanksgiving, we brew a big old pot of coffee, and then we sit down on the couch and make fun of every single person at the Macy's Day Parade.
Oh, I don't know if I could sit through that.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's just like to Mystery Science Theater, the whole thing. Oh, and then to watch Mystery Science Theater, the marathon, which
Why
is even
not?
better. Yeah. But yeah, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
And, of course, right behind that is Black Friday. Do you take advantage of that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, okay, full disclosure, when I was a kid, my mom and dad would drag me out of bed at 4 a.m, drive down to Albany where
Child abuse.
Yeah, where our big mall was, and wait out in front of like Macy's or JCPenney or Sears or something like that so we could be the first people through the door and
my
get all the
God.
doorbusters. So I hate all that kind of crap, but we live in a wonderful age now where I can just not even get out of bed and experience Black Friday.
The beauty of e-commerce,
I
people.
love it. I
and
love
you know
it.
we'll be having our Black Friday deals, but yeah, I do the same thing. I go
Totally.
right online. What does Amazon have going on?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I go check out my favorite companies. Actually, kind of funny thing, one of my more favorite companies, Datsutsara, who makes
a lot of your shirts?
bags.
Oh, bags.
Like my backpack over
Oh,
there.
right,
and
right,
also my
right.
gym bag.
Yep,
and
yep.
I love their bags. It's all hemp material, and they're kind of like kind of hippy dippy.
You hippie.
Yeah, they're very hippy dippy. And get this, on Black Friday, they shut down their website.
Oh, my God.
Not only are there no deals, you cannot buy one of their backpacks on Black Friday.
Why?
Do
they not like money?
It's a strike against capitalism.
They don't like money. Well, I like spending money on this time of year because, it's best time to get Christmas presents and all that kind of stuff. So Again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Speaking of presents, we got presents for all of you. We're going to do something brand new here at Fueled by Deathcast. I want to get you guys in at the ground floor. Every single Thursday, like you know, Fueled by Deathcast comes out with our special guest, and we have an awesome conversation about what they do, why they do it, and what fuels them to do it. We're going to keep doing that. But last year, we split the show. We used to do a lot of segments on the show, and now you can find all of that on Fueled by Death Show every single Wednesday over on the Death Wish Coffee Company Facebook page, live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. And we do a lot of fun segments over there. Two of our most well-loved segments, I would guess, the ones that people really talk to us about all the time, are our science segment and our roast. The science segment, obviously, is you and I giving our love of something in science that week, and the roast is us just getting mad about something crazy or roasting just a topic that we really didn't know much about and we do a little bit more research on.
It's a real love-hate relationship, and we want to spread this horrible dichotomy upon all of you. So we will be releasing these as small mini episodes and extra content within our Fueled by Deathcast channel.
Now, this has already been happening over on the Death Wish Coffee Company YouTube page. You can already find just the science segment, just the roast for the last, handful of shows we've been doing this. And you can find them over there on YouTube in full video. But we figured, why the heck not? Why aren't we making them in just audio too? Because I know a lot of you guys are just listening to this show, probably in the car or maybe in the shower. I see you there.
No, we don't. Don't worry. Stop covering yourself up. We're not.
Yeah, so every Thursday, the show, just like the podcast, just like normal, is going to come out with our special guest. But every Sunday, we're going to be releasing the special science segment from the Fueled by Deathcast show.
We got to get Brock to do new bumps.
Oh, we should. Yeah, we'll work on that. And then every Tuesday we're gonna release the roast from the previous week's show as well, where Dustin and I are gonna have some fun roasting some random topics. So it'll be more stuff to entertain all of you, and that's all we want to do. We want to keep you guys entertained.
No, there's a lot of other things we want to do, but nothing that has to do with the podcast.
I see you in the shower.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
This week until Wednesday, November 28th, if you use the discount code Goofy, Jeff, spell it.
GOOFY.
If you use that discount code at deathwishcoffee.com, you can get 15% off of all Death Wish coffee. That means 1-pounders,
5-pounders,
K-cups,
yeah,
anything you want. 15% off until Wednesday, November 28th, if you use the discount code Goofy.
I do want to make a disclaimer, guys, as our coffee breaks the TV behind us. I want to make a disclaimer that this code cannot be used in conjunction with any of the Black Friday deals. Okay, so this is just going to be for the coffee itself. That's it. So if you want to just buy, an extra bag of coffee or an extra box of K-Cups or something like that, you can use this, get your 15% off, use that code Goofy. But we're going to have all sorts of other deals on Black Friday as well. You guys, and Super Saturday and Nobody Cares Sunday and Monday and all that
Sunday.
Crap. But yeah, so, secret code all week, Goofy, for 15% off that delicious Death Wish coffee.
And Jeff, tell us why it's Goofy.
Well, this week, I've been so excited to put this episode out, guys. We've got legendary voice actor on the show, Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy. Bill took over the voice in 1987, I think it is. We're talking about it on the show.
You'll hear it.
But he is incredible. This dude has been working in the voice acting business since the 80s and has not only been voicing Goofy and Pluto
all the
for
dogs.
Disney. He has also done a lot for Warner Brothers. In fact, did 3 voices for various characters in Space Jam, which we talk about, which was awesome. He's the voice of Sam from Sam and Max, those awesome video games. And then, every other iteration Goofy's ever been in. So, fans of Kingdom Hearts out there, those video games, that kind of stuff.
Goof Troop,
the Goofy movie. all that kind of stuff. It was amazing. When we went out to L.A. recently, he welcomed us into his home. We had dinner with his family.
We ate Chinese food. It was great.
We drank whiskey and watched horror movies.
And a Nick Diaz fight.
And then we had this incredible conversation all about the art of voice acting. And the reason why, you probably heard us talk on this show before, he is the mentor of Brock Powell, our good friend and the voice of this show. And it's incredible to talk to someone who's been doing it for as long as he has and has seen the industry change from the point where, he can do it at home now, pretty much over the phone almost, because he has all of the stuff in his studio, but he still loves going to the studio and working with the actors and directors, and it's just incredible. I'm so excited for you guys to see this episode. So mugs up this week for voice actor Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy.
Cheers.
The Fueled by Death guest.
Excellent.
Everything sounds great.
Okay.
Gosh.
That's the interview, everybody.
He's always in there.
He really is. Getting a chance to speak with you is such a treat for us. Let me just start by saying that. And I wanted to start out by getting a perspective of the voiceover industry, the voice acting industry. Because, and we actually just talked about this before we started recording, you were saying that, like, for a lot of the Disney work that you do, you go to the studio to do that.
Right.
But we live in an age now where, like, a lot of voice acting, people can just do it, like, over their phone or over at home.
I mean, the equipment here is the same equipment, the same microphone that I use at the studios. The difference is that there we have a little bit more control. Like, if a plane comes over, it's much a better treated room, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Right.
Also, the engineers and the directors, it'd be a little cramped in here. I could do my own recording, but for their directors and everything, it's just more control that they have to go to a professional studio.
Do you enjoy going and having the director there rather than doing it by yourself in a box kind of thing?
Yeah. I have to rely on the director because principal recording on, let's say, a cartoon series, a lot of people think we're looking at the cartoon and we're adding the voices later.
That's what I
on.
imagined.
No. Yeah, no. Voices first. Because if I'm, doing Goofy or something, and I say, "Gorge, howdy, Mick," and I want to go, "Gorge, howdy, Mick," that I couldn't add that. I would have to follow exactly what they had animated. But if they like that laugh, they do a soundtrack first and then animate to that. And so that's generally the procedure. And then we'll go in, and if they have to change something because of legal reasons or something, then we do it to picture later on. But the principal recording is just a script and you in the booth.
I think Mrs. Doubtfire gave us wrong
That's
concepts.
what everyone says. Well, then Robin Williams. No, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. Yeah. Thanks,
What the movie lied to
Thanks,
me?
movies, for lying to us again. Gosh. And I wanted to ask, too, now with especially a character like Goofy and Mickey and stuff like that, there's a lot of different iterations of the characters, like from the really young, I forget what it is, the really young kid stuff that's out there. Like Mickey's Clubhouse.
It's like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Mickey and the Roadster Racers we're in production with now.
Yeah.
But for the much older kids and a lot edgier stuff is the Mickey Mouse shorts.
Right.
And so it's kind of a parallel universe almost. It's like them back in the 30s, and it has a different style. We're much edgier. We have a lot more adult kind of humor and situations. And so, these characters, which are the oldest in the world, I mean, Mickey's been around since 1928, and he's still on TV every day.
Yeah.
They're incredible characters, and it seems like whatever you put these characters in, it just seems to work.
Yeah, and from a voice acting standpoint, do you draw from the same well for each of these iterations of Goofy, or is it like a different, like a blank slate for each of them?
It's not a blank slate because everyone knows Goofy's personality and voice, so that's kind of the standard. But you can change it around a little bit by putting him in different situations. And for example, the Mickey Mouse shorts, he's dressed like he was when they used to call him Dippy Dog back in the 1930s.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit more rural, a little little bit more. I almost even have been directed toward a kind of almost a little Southern accent. That's just a touch, but it's to kind of give him a little different take than you might see in Mickey and the Roadster Racers or something, which is more the classic.
The classic.
Yeah. And also it just differs between its 2D, 3D. There's all different looks, but as long as the character is true to what the character is supposed to be, it works.
Wow. And between all of these iterations and the theme parks and the video games and the toys and stuff like that, how much Goofy work do you do on like a weekly or monthly basis?
It's only a couple of maybe a session or two a week for Goofy. Other characters, we did a series, 2 seasons, one called the 7D, which was a kind of a new look at the 7 dwarves.
Right.
And I was the voice of a Doc, who was he was kind of the leader and the intelligent one.
And so that I got to create from scratch, whereas Goofy was stepping into the shoes of Pinto Colvig, who originated the voice back in the 30s. And it's much more fun to come up with your own character because it is a blank slate there.
Yeah.
But there's so much, history with Goofy, I have to kind of watch that and, keep the character true.
Yeah.
Wow. Coming into that character and correct me if I'm wrong, you started in 87?
Yeah, January of 87 started doing Goofy.
As Goofy.
Yeah.
Was it like enormous pressure, like coming on to something like that?
No, I didn't know what the hell I was getting into.
That's the
No.
best.
the best.
That's the best.
I had done 5 years of stand-up before that. From 82,
cool.
I started in stand-up in Dallas. And so I was doing the comedy club circuit, and I started back in Texas with Bill Engvall and Sam Kinnis and Bill Hicks, all those guys
Yep.
out of the Houston Club. And so I was just doing local comedy and getting kind of better and better, and I finally got to where I was starting to headline at clubs. And my agent there said, you do all these voices and impressions. Why don't you go out to Hollywood and give it a shot? I got an apartment out here, and I left my wife in Dallas, so I was commuting for about a year to see if we'll give it a year in Hollywood, see what happens. And as luck would have it, about 4 months after I got here, my agent said, do you do any of the Disney characters? And I said, well, I can kind of do Mickey Mouse. Most people, gosh, oh boy,
Right,
if you
right.
can do that falsetto.
Yeah.
You're kind of in the ballpark. And Donald's tough to do because I can go, that's all I could do. But I can't articulate.
yeah.
But Gosh, Goofy was my favorite as a kid, and it just fell into it, And I just got a cassette, and over a weekend practiced the voice, laid it down to my agent. You don't know anything. And I guess I was up against about 1,000 people that tried out, and they liked mine. And it's not like they don't come to you and say, you are now the voice of Goofy forever. No, it's like for one show, and I had like 2 lines of a line of dialogue, and you don't know if it's going to be one time. They don't sign you to, here's your long-term contract.
It's like the Green Lantern ring.
Yeah, and I'm still like that. Every job's a new contract. I'm not a Disney employee. I'm not, I'm an independent contractor. I'm like the plumber. They got a contract, they come in, I do a cartoon, and I go home.
Wow. How much has doing that voice affected your everyday voice?
Oh, my everyday voice, not too much, because I've done a lot of the Warner Brothers stuff, too.
Yeah.
Space Jam.
Space Jam.
Sylvester and Yosemite Sam, Foghorn, and I say there, boy, the big chicken, and those are great characters, and those are what I grew up with even more than the Disney characters, because I saw them on TV a lot. But, so, no, you just kind of, it's a muscle thing, really.
Yeah.
It's like... you develop the muscles that you use over time. It's like, I guess, like playing golf or something. It's like, you develop the muscles. You develop the swing. And the more you do it, the more those muscles get developed, and the better you can get at it.
Well, it's like, I imagine it's like singing.
Yeah.
In my experience, I never started out as a good singer, but the more I did it, and it started to pick up, and all of a sudden I had a voice.
It's like anything with muscle that you use, muscle memory. It's like if you quit jogging for a couple of weeks, and you go out and you go, God, what happened? Same thing with voice. You just kind of got to do it all the time to keep the muscles in shape and warm up. like you would before you go jogging.
Yeah.
So you don't like stretch a muscle or hurt your voice or anything. And other than that, it's kind of just keep doing it.
Is there anything that you abstain from to keep your voice in shape? Or is there like, do you try to like not?
No, I started smoking just so I could.
No, everyone always asks that, and I really don't. And I've only missed maybe 4 days of work in the last 31 years of doing this. No, I just, I try not to, yell too much. And I used to do a lot of video games. I really don't do that because always on the last day of video games, they always have the impacts and the deaths. I remember one direction I got, and it was some video game where it was like zombies meet the army guys, and they said, okay, now the zombies ripped your arm off and he's beating you with it. And what does that sound like?
Stop beating me with my arm, please.
And so after a couple of hours of screaming like that, I started sounding like the Godfather.
Yeah.
And so I kind of gave up most of the video games because I don't want to mess up Goofy in that light. That's the only thing. I just kind of watch it a little bit more as I get older.
Yeah.
Well, I think Goofy is such an impressive character as a whole because, I mean, even from the core characters in Disney, like, Mickey is very even-keeled.
Yeah.
Donald is gravel the entire time.
Right.
Goofy, especially your Goofy, is there's that even-toned Goofy, the one that knows what he's doing, and then the Goofy that falls off the cliff.
Yeah,
like it's one end to the other end, and I mean, like, I feel like as a fan of the character, like are there long sessions where you feel taxed in that?
Not really with a voice. And Goofy, I could do it all day. The problem comes in is expanding the character, and the first time we really did that was on a Goofy movie, because then he had to be a nurturing father. He had to feel sad that Max is, lying to him.
Totally.
He thought he was going to get in trouble and go to jail and all this stuff. And we'd never had to do that before. He was always, "Gosh, howdy," he was always the happy-go-lucky, kind of totally optimistic, good-natured guy.
Never really
had to be
adversity.
sad. Yeah, and until we did that, and I didn't know really in the beginning on how to play that. But over time, we played with it and everything, and you kind of, you just, got to let that emotion in, and even Goofy can be sad sometimes.
Oh, gosh. I mean, as, again, just a fan out for a minute, in Goofy movie when, Max, like, gets in Goofy's face and is like, "Get away from me, Dad," and you, like, really intone it, and you can feel the emotion of that character, and it's something... As a fan of Goofy, even as a kid, watching the early Goofy, you've never, like you said, you've never seen that before.
You see his vulnerability.
That vulnerability from that character, and you played it beautifully.
Oh,
I
thanks. That was it was a lot of fun, and of course, my son Austin. I knew that the movie had heart because we went to an early screening of it. And he came out and he was crying. Oh. And I said, "What's the matter, buddy? Didn't you like the movie?" And he said, "Well, yeah, but when Goofy fell over the waterfall, I thought that was you, And so he's like, but he's only about 5 when it came out, so he was really screwed up because all his friends, "Are you Goofy's brother? Or are you Goofy's son? Is Max your brother?" And I don't know anymore. So... He's a Hollywood kid.
Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, my gosh. And like you said, you've gotten to do so many characters from Disney, from Warner Brothers, from additional stuff on all types of things.
A lot of Pixar movies.
A lot of
and
Pixar
Disney
stuff,
movies,
yeah. Has there ever been, and I love asking voice actors this, like, because you guys get to really stretch your craft, especially with directors and writing and that kind of stuff. Has there ever been a character that was tougher for you than others? Where something that really was like, not to say that you couldn't do it, but like really took more work than you thought would?
Oh, yeah. There's physical that take more work, and they're just physical, like, I did something a long time ago where I was doing Wolfman Jack, if you remember the DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby. I was down there doing that, Wolfman Jack sort of thing.
Love it.
And that can strain the voice physically after a while. Then there are the emotional ones. If they're, like, really screamy and heavy-duty emotional, which you don't have to do too much of in animation. Goofy Movie was about the most emotional that I can think of right offhand. But sometimes, yeah, it can get kind of taxing if staying also in a character you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
You have to kind of keep reminding yourself until it becomes sense memory on, okay, what would this character do and how would he say it and that kind of thing. Yeah. So sometimes it can get a little hairy once in a while if you don't know the character that well.
Coming up with your own original voice, I imagine that can be a little bit difficult as far as like the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah.
But do you use like other influences, like maybe it's a little bit of this character mixed with this character mixed with this?
Absolutely, all the time. And sometimes you go on a gut feel. Other ones, like a lot of celebrities, especially from like 1930s and 40s, you can use again because people today don't know them. Yeah. Billy West, when he did Ren and Stimpy, with using Peter Lorre.
Right. Who had the voice like this with Peter.
And then as Stimpy, you idiot, All it is taking that character that he knew and expanding on it. Yeah. And so a lot of times you'll do impressions, and that's one great way to come up with voices is to do impressions of people you don't do impressions of. No one knows who you're doing, but it's going to be something.
Yeah.
And you can use it.
I one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite voice actors outside of you actually is from Rob Paulson.
Yeah.
And I forget exactly how he says it, but it's he says that he does a lot of bad impressions of famous people, and that is what turns into some of his most iconic characters.
Absolutely. When I first came out here, I took classes from Dawes Butler, who's a great voice actor who did all the Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, like, Yogi Bear was a guy he knew in Chicago that he did a bad impression of. Hey, boo-boo, how's it going? And Huckleberry Hound was a cousin of his in North Carolina. So he was just doing that voice. And on Mickey and the Roadster Racers, I do about 12 different characters on that show.
Whoa.
And one is the mayor, who is basically,
he kind of has a voice that sounds kind of like this, who I'm basically doing Frank Morgan from The Wizard of Oz.
So that's my Frank Morgan impression. And then there's Mr. Bigby, who's very foghorn, kind of foghorn leghornish, very similar to that. And there was another one, Mr. McBilly, who I'm basically doing Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
And then kind of every once in a while, hey, that's really bad, and stuff like that. So you play with these things.
Oh, man.
That makes sense.
It's great to have a Rolodex of those types of voices, too, because like you were saying, like, I've been a lover of actual voice acting like my entire life, and I love impressionism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of these references.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of these old-timey things, but a lot of people don't.
And, it's just like an extra thrill. If you know it, it's like recognizing, an inside joke in a movie.
Yeah.
Like in a Star Wars. If you don't know the first one, you don't know when they put something in the background, or like, I think there was a Star Trek movie that had like, was it Star Trek or something, or where they actually had like a, Federation of Planets, and they had like the little E.T., the little contingent.
Yeah, that was Star Wars, actually.
That was a Star Wars, and they had the E.T.
Yep.
Just that little stuff. If you hadn't seen E.T., you wouldn't know that.
Catch
but
it.
I got that,
Oh, my gosh. So I kind of want to get into a more serious topic, because I'm curious about this. What are your thoughts on the industry today? Because voice acting today seems to be a much more saturated industry than it was, especially because a lot of studios are creating things that seem to be more of a celebrity, star-based kind of thing. Like, what is your thought on that kind
They've always used celebrities from, back in even the old days, they used to film things like Alice in Wonderland. They used Edwin as the Mad Hatter. And they really dressed him up as the Mad Hatter and filmed these guys, and then animated, rotoscoped right from the film.
Yeah.
So they've used celebrities forever. The problem is when they stick in a celebrity just for celebrity's sake.
And they do that a lot.
They do that a lot.
Yeah. It's like let's see. Tom Hanks was great as Woody, and Tim Allen was great as Buzz Lightyear. They originated those characters, and they were based on their personalities.
Right.
That's fine, because that's based upon who they are and their public persona.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had like the Yogi Bear movie, and they had Dan Aykroyd do the voice. Well,
Right.
now you're just trying to fit a celebrity rather than get the best person that can do Yogi Bear. They wanted a celebrity in there. And for that reason, I don't think the movie worked as well.
Right.
And when they just have it for celebrity's sake, and that's the main reason, hey, we can get Catherine Zeta-Jones to do this.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of great voice actors that can do probably a better job, or at least as good a job. If you want Arnold in a cartoon, you could get Arnold, or you could have a voice actor do it as well. But if you want Arnold, you go to Arnold. If you want this character, do an audition, find the best voice for that character,
I agree.
irregardless of who it is.
I agree, because I think what's lost on a lot of people, especially like the younger generation coming into this cartoon boom, this animation boom, this voice acting boom, is they miss out on the idea that you guys are actors.
Oh, absolutely.
First.
Absolutely.
It's not just my voice sounds like
Right.
Tom Hanks and therefore I am Woody. Like
Right.
that's not what it is. It's like you need to be an actor first.
Absolutely. That's what Dawes Butler taught us all. That and a lot of his successful students include Nancy Cartwright and Corey Burton and a bunch of guys. And he said, you're an actor. It's not voice acting, it's voice acting. Emphasis on the acting. There are a lot of guys that come in and say, I got a great voice. People tell me I got a great voice. I should be a voice actor. That's kind of like saying, I got a great guitar. I should be a guitarist.
I never heard that. That's great. Yeah.
That your voice is your instrument. Can you play it? Can you act with it?
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Can you put emotion behind it?
And maintain that character for 4 or 5 hours.
And be creative constantly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to be able to emote and bring emotion and life to that character. Otherwise, you're just doing a voice, and a voice without the emotional life behind it is hollow and doesn't work.
Is a radio DJ.
Yeah,
exactly. I have to ask too, when you took on the role as Goofy originally, did you also audition as Pluto?
That actually came. Yeah, I did audition as Pluto about the same time.
Is it
Not
a dog
at the same
package?
time.
Is it a dog package? Disney's like, here's
I
the
know.
dog
Yeah,
package.
I think they did audition me for that. But it wasn't in the same audition. It was a less formal one.
Bark on command.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was at one of the sessions they say, let's hear, can you do Pluto? Because I think their thinking was Pinto Colvig, who did Goofy, quite often did Pluto. And they wanted to see if I had the same kind of chops. And it worked. And so it was a less stringent audition process, but I did audition.
That's awesome. Do you in the industry now, as a Disney legend, as someone who has done so many voices, do you still audition?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I did 3 auditions today.
Whoa.
For commercials and for upcoming animated series, and so for one of the characters. Yeah, and they don't give you any breaks. Now, occasionally they'll say, we want Bill to do this thing.
Yeah.
But rarely. Still, I've got to audition, and it's still a crapshoot. I might do 100 auditions for every one character that I get still. And that's doing fine, because there's so many people. There's 150,000 SAG members in L.A., and on any given week, I've heard the figure maybe 10 or 15,000 jobs. So, on any given week, there's like 140,000 out-of-work actors. So it's very, very competitive. And these are the people that paid the $3,000 or whatever to join the union.
Right.
Now, with non-union work out there, and everyone can do it from their studio in Nebraska or something, that is where the industry is really finding a problem, because, as if you're a producer and you're doing a cartoon series, well, this guy in Nebraska will do it for $50. Well, that's great. He'll get $50, but it just lowers the bar for everyone till it becomes a glorified hobby and no one can really make a living. Yeah. It's tough enough as it is, and all the streaming services and stuff are now engaged in kind of a potential animation strike with the unions over residuals, which is the lifeblood for most actors.
Totally.
Because if you do 1 out of 100 auditions and you get it, and let's say it's $1,000 you go in, well, you might not get the next one till several months later,
right,
or a half a year, and then you got $2,000 for the year.
Right.
It's hard to pay the bills with that.
I imagine.
It sounds crazy. So I guess then my next line of questioning would be, what would be your advice for people trying to break into this industry?
Okay, get rich parents.
Okay.
Number one.
Great. No, you got to do this not because you think you're going to make a ton of money or you're going to get glory and fame and all that stuff. You got to do it because you have to do it. You got to do it because you just have to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to be involved in this creative process. I stuck around. I did stand up for a number of years, and but before that, I did radio for a number of years. And I got out of that into electronics, and I worked as an electronic technician in a cubicle and all of that kind of stuff. And I missed it. And so it was back in 1982, I was at a comedy club, and they have an open mic night. And I said, next week I'm going to do it. And I signed up. I just said, I got to try this. And I was in my, about 28 or 9 when I tried it for the first time. I didn't have the guts to really try it. And I went up and I got a pretty good response. And I started coming back and I said, and the day before I got married to my wife 34 years ago, we quit our jobs. I quit the electronics job to go full-time into stand-up comedy. Said, we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. So sometimes you just got to jump off the cliff and hope there's a net.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, it worked out. Now, that's a very rare thing. And I was very fortunate because Goofy and Mickey and Donald are the probably oldest surviving characters that are on TV all the time. And there's no other characters like them. And so that's as much what I'd call job security in this business as you can get.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because I've done about 3,800 or 4,000 different shows for Disney over the last 30 years.
Wow.
Do you still do stand-up?
I did stand up last night.
Oh,
at
cool.
the Burbank Comedy Festival. I was asked to go down there and give it a shot. I hadn't done it in about 3 or 4 years, but it went over really well.
Awesome.
And it's always good to be doing something in front of an audience because stand-up was the best training I ever had. You get instant feedback.
Yeah.
If you suck, they'll let you know. If you're great, they let you know. It's very honest. And you also learn timing, which is real important when you get a script. How do you say a line? When you learn on stage in front of an audience, after a while, you kind of get the idea on how to say this line to get the most laughs out of it. Mm-hmm. That's real important when you're behind the glass because they give you a script. You've got to know how to say that line and just have an intuitive way of saying it to bring out the most funny. And if you don't, and I didn't get that in radio. I thought I was funny, but you don't get that feedback, so you don't know.
Oh,
but you do know when it can be very brutal. But if you can survive that first few months, it's great training.
Wow.
Or improv's the same kind of thing. Anytime you're in front of an audience, you get that feedback, and that's so important for a performer.
Do you do a lot of improv as well?
I used to. I worked for about the last 15 years with Fred Willard and his sketch comedy group, which was called the Mohos. And I haven't done that in the last few years. I've gotten very busy because I'm on like 3 or 4 series right now, and I've been doing stuff with students and teaching and all of that.
Yeah.
So I've been too busy to do it anymore.
Wow. And that brings me to my next question. Speaking of students,
Great segue, Jeff.
Thank you.
I knew you were going to take it.
Yeah,
it was there.
Our mutual friend and the voice of this podcast is Brock Powell.
Yeah.
And when we had Brock on this show, he told his origin story. He told about how he had this epiphany and he wanted to go into voice acting, and he wrote Bill Farmer a letter. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to hear your side of this story because I don't believe him.
No, I went to the window one day. Who's the kid camping out in the front yard? You know, no, but he did. He contacted me and wanted to take classes and stuff. And I sure come on over. And we did his demo tape. And he's done really well with that, and got the Kool-Aid Man and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was on a series, and we got to work together a couple of weeks ago on a series for Disney, which was a lot of fun, doing some animal noises and stuff.
That's awesome.
So he became great friends first with me, and then my son Austin, and they become inseparable.
Yeah.
And he's almost like Austin just says, he's trying to take over for me. Watch my back, But he's a great kid, and I still call him a kid, but he's a great performer, and he's very funny, and that goes a long way in this business.
I mean, you must get contacted a lot for this kind of thing. What made his letter stand out enough to want you to take him under his wing,
Well, it actually, because he came, and he became a friend. He just has a great personality, and I certainly don't and can't do that with all my students. But they're all friends, and I don't know what it is. Just he refuses to go away.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I think that's how we became friends with Brock.
Yeah, it was like we met him at Baltimore Comic-Con, and it was like, Brock, go away.
I know, yeah.
And he kept on coming back.
And he didn't. Oh my gosh.
And then he starts bringing over laundry, and hey, are you going to use that other room you got or whatever,
Well, he's so magnetic, and I'm sure that's a big reason why he's finding success in this industry, because not only is he magnetic in his personality, he can translate that to his creative voice side of things. Where do you see him going?
I think as far as he wants to go, he's got a great work ethic. He has his and the thing about this business, it can kind of obsess you if you're not careful, and he can be a little obsessive sometimes. I'm just trying to teach him balance, that it's a job. It doesn't necessarily, it's not 100% of your life. You're doing fine. Take your time. Enjoy the ride. It's the ride that's the important thing.
Well, you get to
Mr.
have
Miyagi.
that. Yeah, I know. I was about to
Mr.
say
Miyagi.
Jedi Master. You get to have that because you have hindsight. Were you restless like that too when you were young?
Everyone is. They want it all now.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of time. I've been there. I know.
I feel that in my industry. I just want to get everything done. Get all the shit done all the time.
And that's great, but just realize from this end, looking back, you got time. You're doing fine. Enjoy
That's good
it.
to know.
Awesome.
Enjoy it. It's not, I'll enjoy it when I get here. No, enjoy it now, and you'll enjoy that then, too.
So through it all, in your career and up until this moment, the question we ask every single guest on this show, what fuels you to keep doing it, to keep creating, and to keep getting out there and doing it?
It is a blast. Ever since I was a kid, and I used to go to our little one theater in my little hometown in Kansas, and when I was a kid, we'd have like double features and cartoons and everything all Saturday, and it was really kind of a boring little town, and so it was. I just got transfixed by the whole movie industry and said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's still fun. I love going to work. People say, when are you going to retire? No, I'm not going to retire. Why? It's fun. It makes people happy. It's creative. It keeps you young, and it keeps you doing stuff. So why not continue? It's like it's a blast.
How much longer do you think you'll be? Do you think you'll ever retire? You think you just?
I don't ever plan on retiring. I'm taking
awesome.
Goofy with me.
Excellent.
No, as long as they want me, until I'm 100 and do Goofy. Oh, yuck! I used to do Goofy. It's time for a nap.
You did say that Goofy's always in there.
Yeah.
Does he ever sneak out and surprise you?
There's a Goofy curse that goes along with this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whenever I do something stupid, I blame it on Goofy.
Ah.
And an example of that, true story, I was putting up Christmas lights, and I had the the ladder out there, my sweats on, and
I think I saw this episode.
and I stepped down off the ladder, and my foot hit a riser on the lawn sprinkler system, and I fell backwards. And there's a rose bush back there. And that would be goofy enough. But my pants got caught on the first rose bush. It ripped them down as I fell bare-assed into the second rose bush. That's... So it's like, it's like the Three Stooges. My wife is pulling thorns out of my butt. And ow!
Oh, no.
True story.
Oh,
And I said, that's the Goofy curse.
Oh.
And that happens a lot?
More than I'd like it to, yeah. So not too often, but every once in a while, there's Goofy.
Did it happen before Goofy, or is it
No,
just
not like that. In the old days, it would have been the first rose bush I would have fell in, and there you go. That's funny. But no, the first one, then the second one, right in a row. That's Goofy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow. Bill, I can't thank you enough for sitting down and
thank
talking
you.
with
It's
us.
a pleasure.
Because we're big fans of what you do and what you bring to the world. Because when it really comes down to it, with the talent that you have and the creation that you create, it's all about the joy that you bring in people. And I can't say enough about how the world needs more of that.
Oh yeah. As messed up as the world is, the sense that I can brighten up someone's day, and we occasionally do that. We'll talk to kids in hospitals and stuff when they,
cool.
Make-A-Wish Foundation, stuff like that. And one story sticks in my head. Wayne Allwine, who did Mickey and passed away, unfortunately, in 2009, got a call from a woman whose daughter had leukemia and was just fighting the chemotherapy and all this stuff. He had a bad outlook and was kind of slipping down. And so Mickey gets on the phone, and I was doing Pluto at the time, so I didn't really talk to her. But he said, gosh, when Pluto, he doesn't feel good, he takes his medicine, and he feels real good. Right, Pluto? Row, row! And then we hung up, and in about a couple of months, Wayne got a call or letter from the woman that said, just because of that call, the girl's attitude totally changed. And she started willingly taking the medication and chemotherapy and stuff and went into remission. And so I never take it lightly that these characters have a kind of they're important.
Yes.
They're real to children and adults all around the world. They really have a life of their own. And I take that very seriously. And if I can, help someone out of a crummy day or make them feel a little bit better, then it's all worth it. And that's kind of the legacy that you're going to leave after you go. Goofy will be around a lot longer than me. And so people, maybe 50, 100 years from now can still enjoy what I do. And that's kind of a cool feeling.
Heck yeah.
Well, I think when you teach people like Brock, it just kind of echoes. It's
Absolutely.
a ripple effect.
Yeah, pass it on.
And I'm sure the generosity that you've showed him and other people, they'll show that on to other people.
Yeah.
And it's more than just this character that's bringing joy. It's you and the people that you're putting this generosity onto, who put it onto other people, is actually making the world a better place.
And if everyone did that, the world would be a better place.
Darn right. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Bill. Cheers.
Gosh, thanks.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.